That's what I do every time I make a cheese board. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh.
Deep breaths, everyone. It's fine.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hello, you're listening to I Am Home, the Home Life Best Life podcast. I'm Tyler Weiskup, joined by my co-host, and this may sound cheesy, but she's just really great. It's Becca Sedbeck.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Becca. And our other co-host is the perfect combination of sweet and salty. It's Hillary Waltmath.
Hey.
Hi, Hillary. I'm so thrilled. Our topic this month has been gratitude, and the issue that we're going to get into today, issue is not the right word because it is a pleasure, is charcuterie. And we're going to be talking gratitude through food. We've got a great guest to talk all about it. But before we get to her, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast. And that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. And you can learn more at nfm.com. Okay, so who is ready for our guest? She's with us here in NFM Studios. It's Mara Van Kooten.
Yes,
Did I say?
hello. Yes,
I'm
Van Kooten.
very
Mara Van
terrible
Kooten.
with last names. So Mara, thank you for being
Nailed
here.
it. Nailed
Thank
it, Tyler.
I appreciate that because Hillary was going to make so much fun of me.
How did you want to pronounce it?
I wanted to say Vank. I wanted to go hard on the K.
Oh, everyone
maybe.
does.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
everyone does. Nope, you got it right though. Mara Van Kooten.
Yeah, I don't know why I double clutched it, but
It's
I
okay.
think it worked out.
I love it.
Well, Mara, you some people may recognize you from our NFM social media. You're one of our social media specialists, and you've been on the job 2.5 years. Is that three and a half
Yeah.
years?
Thank
Oh
you.
my gosh.
3.5 years. Yeah, I actually counted yesterday, and I was shocked because I'm like 3.5. I just hit my 3-year mark.
Yes.
But yeah, we're moving our way up.
Oh my gosh.
Just got to get that 5-year to get that PTO.
Get that extra bump.
Uh-huh.
I apologize. It clearly has just flown by
It's
so
all good.
quickly
Mhm.
that it couldn't have possibly been much longer because it's just been so much fun. Okay. But beyond that, I know that you're a wife, a dog, and human mom. And how old is the kiddo?
She is 2 and 2.
2.
She just turned 2 in September.
Oh,
Yeah,
congrats.
thank you.
Time flies.
Time flies. Yeah, that
And
too.
the
Yeah.
cutest.
She is really
Thank
cute.
you.
A doll.
She's really
A
cute.
little
Thank
doll.
you. She's wild though. Wild child.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Good
But
for you.
most importantly,
Mhm.
beyond obviously, I mean, well, your child is the
Yes.
most important, but the
Mhm.
second most important that we brought you on today to talk about is charcuterie.
Yes.
You've turned, a lot of us have like a passion for like fine meats and cheeses and want to eat them all the time. But you've turned that passion into a business, and I'm curious, like, was it just an excuse to eat more brie and salami, or like where did the idea come from for you
I
to start
teeter-totter.
this?
I really do teeter-totter because
Okay.
like everyone, we love meat and cheese. But at the same time, I felt like anytime I did a meat and cheese board, I was so obsessed with how it looked. I don't know why. Like it's just so aesthetically pleasing to look at.
Yeah.
And I think my creative eye of just how I've lived throughout my life, whether it was clothes or whether it was makeup or furniture, home design, I was like just so obsessed with making it look the best it could be, even though it was just meat and cheese. So I think that's where it came from.
Okay.
Obviously, we've gone beyond that now, but yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah. So like you were doing this in your own personal life, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, it has to look great. And
Yeah.
then you just advanced from there.
Yeah, because anyone can go to the store and buy a Lunchable. I mean, like honestly, like Target
Yeah.
sells trays,
They
and that's
do.
great.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
They're not pretty.
and
No
so, like,
offense, Target.
Yeah,
Loved.
right.
never mind about Target. Yeah, and so it just like kind of started like that. You can buy this, but like what makes my boards the best? It's because the way they look and the way that I can actually create meat and cheese and make it into like an art form almost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that that is like your thing. And I want to talk about like the art process and like how, like
Yeah.
when you're like laying things out and planning the board and like actually making it beautiful. But I'm wondering if we can kind of back up a second and talk a little bit about your process.
Mhm.
And maybe, I don't know if kitchen prep is the
Oh,
best
yeah.
place to start, or
Yeah.
is like the brainstorming of ideas, or when you get a request. But I've got all those questions.
Yeah.
So wherever you want to start.
We can start with kitchen prep and planning because that is probably what's going to take the most time out of creating the meat and cheese art. So I like to tell people, like people that are or charcuterie curious, that, you know, making your space just like the most important part is like the sanitization part of making sure, you know, like you're working with prosciutto, it's raw, you know, or it's dried raw meat. And then you have your cheeses. And some people are like, well, how do I, you know, like, how are we putting that all together? I start by sanitizing and then working with like the most resourceful tools that you can find in your kitchen. I like to tell people like it's not hard. Like a great knife and a wire cutter will get you through your board. Not only like sanitization and making sure like your prep area is organized, making sure you have designated areas. So like I start by making myself a trash pile because I know I'm going through 7 different cheeses, my meats, fruits, cans, you know, like all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm making myself a trash pile and then I'll make myself a prep pile and then assemble pile. And so what I say assemble pile, assemble area. So that's where all my boards are going to go.
Yeah.
Whether I'm doing a flat lay or maybe it's going on different elevated boards, I'm going to make a separate area. So it's out away from all of the other stuff.
Working in the mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's like frustrating. And I think that was like my biggest challenge when I started doing this was like, I'm so overwhelmed. Like I love doing this, but like my space it's crazy. I have trash and I have knives and I have, you know, like my gloves are on and I can't touch this if I'm touching that. It doesn't have to be hard as long as you're designating your spaces for sure.
That's super smart.
That's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best place to start. I mean, like the sanitization process and keeping everything super clean. Obviously, like food and like you said, the raw meats. People want to make sure that they are not getting sick out of this stuff. So I'm glad that that's where you start. Is there anything special that you do to like clean the area, or is it just like standard cleaning?
Standard cleaning. As long as you're cleaning, you're washing your hands. You're wearing. Well, I wear gloves, obviously. Yes, when working with food, you should be wearing gloves as a professional. But I guess like looking back when I did it for like my family and friends over the holidays, or it was just for like a birthday celebration, honestly, like just as long as you're having fun with it too. Like it's not about perfecting it. It's about like this board was made with love, not my perfect cheese and meat combo. And you know, whoever you're serving this board to, whether it be like someone like an out-of-town guest or your sister and brother coming over for dinner, they'll know you put love into it because it's a spread you have, like you put work into. Yeah, you might not be putting something in the oven or baking something, but you're cutting and you're arranging and just making it look pretty, and they'll know that.
Yeah. One of the things that I think I saw some people concerned about when they're like, oh, what about like the temperatures of like meat and cheese and like how quickly does it take to make the board? Like, is that something that you think about too?
I do. So all of my soft cheeses, I don't take out. I let them sit in the fridge while I take all of my hard cheeses out first, because then it's easier for them to be cut and prepped with. But there are some circumstances where like I may be working with a cheddar that's very crumbly and I know, oh, it should probably be a little bit colder. So I make sure that I'm like timing it right so I'm not destroying my cheese as I'm cutting it. Meat wise, it's always my last thing. I've gone a little bit overboard and just like prepped my mind with like meat folding a little bit. So if I am prepping ahead of time for a party, I will make sure that meat is last, but I'm putting it in like a secured container and then I can put it back in the fridge. So it's not left out.
Okay.
It's being put directly back into a cold area and you can move on to your next ingredients. But I do make sure that my cheeses are staggered out when I'm cutting because I don't want to mess them up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, there's certain temperatures where it's ideal to cut them and get them out. And like, you don't want to like okay, here's my
Here's
warm
my
board.
yeah.
Like everything's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. It's like when it gets all the shiny, you're like,
Yeah.
a little sweaty.
I don't know
How long
about
has
this.
been sitting out
Yeah.
for?"
Yeah.
But like if it takes you a while to build it, I can imagine that can be stressful. And if you haven't done it before, like timing that out may be helpful. So just kind of having a little bit of knowledge. Was there like resources that you went to, or is that just a process, trial and error process?
Oh, I did so much research.
Yeah.
Because, people are like, wait, you're prepping my board, but when can I eat it? Actually, cheeses, like they should sit out for at least 30 minutes before you start to eat them, because they don't get their true flavor until they hit that room temperature.
Oh, interesting.
So although you need the right temperature to cut it, it comes down to when is this the best time to serve it? But truly, if you're making people that are just making these boards at home, prepping, I would say prepping and getting it in the fridge and serving it when people are over, that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Good enough.
Yeah. Do you fridge space? I know that you obviously have a business now. You've got we talked a little bit before we jumped on mic. You've got a designated area in your home where you're kind of building some of this stuff out. You've got a dedicated fridge maybe for it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. My husband's not happy with me. I turned the beer fridge into a cheese fridge, and he is like, "What is this?" I'm like, "You don't understand. I have to have the right amount of shelving." So we turned our basement fridge into just where I put all my boards. The drink drawers aren't even that's all my cheeses and all my meats, and then my boards can go right on.
There you go.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
smart. It is nice to have extra space.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I actually find when I, go set up boards for people is they don't have a lot of people don't have room in their fridge
Yeah.
for a big board.
Yeah.
And so when people are hiring me, that's kind of what they're paying for.
Yeah.
Is I don't have room for all this.
Right.
You do it and you
Uh-huh.
bring it to me type of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, if I had to do this right now, I would have to clear off.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, get all of
Ton
your
of space.
leftovers.
Yeah,
Ugh,
yeah,
yikes.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think I got a good idea of maybe some of the kitchen prep stuff. Let's talk about.
Are you sorry? I have one question.
Go for it.
So this
I'm
is,
ready.
for me personally. So I'm hosting a bachelorette party in Kansas City this weekend, and my plan is to put a big charcuterie spread together. So should I be cutting the cheeses, throwing them back in the fridge in a resealable container, and taking it
Yes.
pre-cut?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're going to KC and you're traveling with this,
Yeah.
cut it all at home.
Uh-huh.
Do as much prep as you can at home.
Okay.
Washing your fruit, making sure you have your nuts, your
Mhm.
dried fruits,
Mhm.
all of your cheeses cut the way you want it to.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be assembled
Mhm.
the way you want it to, but make sure it's all separated, labeled, because people will ask you,
Mm.
what cheese is that? What cheese is
A white one.
this? Yeah, right. Cheddar maybe? Gouda? I don't know. And same with your meat too.
Okay.
I would say that would be my best advice for
And
you.
you fold it ahead
Fold
of time
it,
too?
Get some toothpicks. Toothpicks are heaven sent. Throw toothpicks in your little meat rivers
Uh-huh.
and they won't come undone. And then if you're ready to take the toothpick
Okay.
out by the time of assembly, do that. That's
Okay.
fine. Or keep it in. It's easier for people to grab anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
You got some.
Yeah.
You got some meat and
Yeah.
cheese prep ahead of you.
Cider.
Your life will be so much easier.
Yeah,
Though. You don't need to
okay.
bring knives with you to chop in Kansas
Okay.
City.
Yeah, because I'm I don't know what this Airbnb
No.
is going to have for knives.
No.
Well, probably really bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never found an
Uh-huh.
Airbnb that has good knives. It's usually my biggest complaint.
Yeah.
Upgrade your appliances.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, these
Yes.
knives can't even cut an apple.
Yes. Yeah.
We've talked about knives before though, and you definitely your chef friend gave you the importance of the clean knives.
Yeah.
and
Sharp
Yes,
Sharp knives.
sharp.
Yes.
I agree.
I just am recovering. Ignore my really bad nails, my chip nail. My mother just bought me really good knives from NFM, and I was cleaning. I will never dishwasher. They're
right.
never
Yes,
going in the
hand wash,
dishwasher.
Uh-huh.
for sure.
But it was just sitting
Oh.
at the right angle. I'm not kidding you.
Oh.
My kitchen looked good for spooky season, but
Yeah.
my kitchen looked like I had just sliced it. You can even tell that it was there. Splatters everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's very important.
Yeah.
And it makes prepping that much easier. You're not using your full body weight into cutting a block of cheese.
Yeah. That's how
Yeah.
you have a bad accident.
Exactly.
Is a dull knife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
But can I add,
Yes.
what is your theme for your bachelorette?
So it is spooky vibes.
Okay, spooky vibes.
Yes. So Bride's a Scorpio.
Oh yeah, we love.
Birthday right before Halloween. So the theme is Till Death Do Us Party.
Oh, that's cute.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah. So I am pretty proud of myself. I
Yeah.
thrifted a ton of like old silver serving platters.
Oh, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
So
So good.
they look kind of like old and I don't know, kind of
Yeah.
spooky. We're gonna do lots of candlesticks.
Well,
and
that's the
In the
other
hotel or
part.
in the Airbnb.
uh-huh.
Just don't burn it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Just get an LED candle.
Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
That was the other part I was going to say
Mhm.
is when making these charcuterie boards
Mhm.
and you have a theme like this,
Mhm.
it's your best opportunity to add just more to that party
Yeah.
by theming it up.
Yeah.
So like spooky, like if you have like a bat cutter, like cut out little bats and put it
Like
all
a
over.
cookie cutter with
Yeah.
like
I
in a
got
bat
these
shape.
little like
Yeah.
skeleton hands I was gonna work in there
There
too.
you
Like
go.
I'm
they
thinking
could
those-
like hold
No, maybe that's better than the spiders.
Oh yeah. Or bats, let's be honest.
Bugs crawling on the cheese.
Oh, yikes. Fake
I
ones.
like the
Yeah.
skeleton hands
Oh, no.
maybe better.
Oh no.
But yeah, I found these like little skeleton and they're like
Yeah.
almost cupped a little bit. So I think I
Yeah.
can put
Some like handfuls of nuts in those or something.
Uh-huh.
Or
Cute.
dried fruit in
Yeah.
there.
Cute.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
exactly.
we'll see. But I think, yeah, because we're doing a little activity and then a few of us are going to the Airbnb to decorate and then they're going to bring the bride later. So I'm like thinking I'm getting everybody's like tasks assigned. And so I can focus on this like masterpiece that's going to be in the
It's
kitchen.
ahead of you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna kill it.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Take some pictures.
I
though,
will.
Please
I
do.
will.
Yeah.
I'm
I will.
high standards, Hillary.
I wonder if this is good. I mean, obviously, we've kind of dug into this a little bit. You've
Mhm.
already kind of thrown out like ideas, but when you were thinking about like the theme and just like the brainstorming of
Mhm.
like of what it's going to look like and what would be the appropriate meats and cheeses, like, do you have a typical way that you tackle that, or how does that typically
Mm.
work for you?
Mhm.
One of the best compliments I ever had was none of my boards look the same, which is great for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, and it still is very aesthetically pleasing. But truly, I go in with one, who am I doing this for? Two, what is the theme? What is it for?
Mhm.
Bridal shower, baby shower. What is their theme? And then what are they wanting to get out of this? Like, is it a snacky situation, or maybe this is a full
Meal.
entire
Yeah.
meal?
Mhm.
So I go with those intentions, and then I kind of just build out. I have a big island in my kitchen, which I'm very thankful for, but I literally plan it out with the boards that I have, with the like props.
Mhm.
Hillary, you were talking about, you're going to use different props to like put into that theme
Mhm.
of that board. And that's really what I do. So then once I'm assembling, I feel like I'm just like in the moment of like, yeah, like, what's the painter's name?
Picasso?
Sure.
Yeah.
Picasso. He's
I was
just
thinking
like,
Bob Ross. but-
sure. Bob Ross too. No, Bob Ross for
Happy
sure.
little cheese.
Yeah. And just going at it, I'm making sure I am having my ingredients be balanced throughout the board. So if I'm serving, 50 people is very different than a 10-person party.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I like the bigger scale because I just have a lot more to work with. But I make sure that like my fruits are balanced across the boards. My pairings are in a good place. There's no red is very like common when I'm making charcuterie boards. And so like it really annoys me when I see like red meat next to grapes. Like that's a no-go. We're just not
yeah.
going to do that because one, not only does that color clash, it's just not.
Yeah.
You don't want grapes with your prosciutto.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. So I just make sure it's very much balanced. It also does come down to like the customer's preference. Like some customers don't like when crackers are on their board at all. They want their guests to be able to just like grab the crackers from a bowl, which is
Okay.
great. I like adding a little bit of beige into my board. And,
Yeah.
there's that 3-3-3, is it 3-3-3-3 rule that I think we've talked about, but it's 3 meats, 3 cheeses, 3 starches, and then 3 sweets of some sort, whether it be fruit or chocolate or
Okay.
honey.
Oh, chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, chocolate's like my secret weapon on those boards.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
That's a
that's
nice
always what
touch.
I go for.
love.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
Or
don't want
those,
meat
like,
and cheese, but I'll take some
Cocoa
chocolate.
Yeah.
almonds, those like chocolate
Yes.
dusted
Mm.
almonds.
The Costco salted caramels.
Oh yeah, those are really good.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
Too good.
Okay.
And if it is a snack, take some
Adding
notes,
it to
Hillary.
my notes
Um,
here.
People want the variety of flavors on a board too. So if you're just serving, imagine just eating meat and cheese, which is great.
Yeah.
But adding the freshness to it with the fruits or the herbs
Yeah.
or the chocolate, it just makes that much better when
Mhm.
you're actually eating the board,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, even Lunchables wised up and added like a candy bar to their
Yeah,
Lunchable, right?
Yeah, a little sweet treat.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, they did.
yeah,
Yeah.
they totally did.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Lunchables. But we've heard that's why our generation loves charcuterie,
Uh-huh.
because we were Lunchable.
Yeah.
Like that's what I
Lunchable
ate,
kids.
I think,
Yeah,
every
totally.
day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an ultimate snack.
It is the ultimate snack.
Yeah.
You get it all. You
Yeah.
get your dairy, your protein,
Yeah.
your starch,
Choose your own
or
adventure.
cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you sorry, I keep interjecting with my own
You should.
self-serving
You should.
questions here.
love
So
this.
Little consult.
I had a practice run in our catalog shoot a
Oh.
couple weeks ago. I did like a 10 fish charcuterie board
so good.
situation. It just sat in the sun for way too long. So
Sure got
it was
really shiny.
Yeah, yeah.
Shiny.
So I kind of learned that like more is more. Like
Mhm.
you don't want any of your platter kind of like peeking through. You kind of fill all the little
Oh, yeah.
nooks and crannies. So I also noticed, I was like looking at some of your photos for inspiration, of course. And you add like either like herbs as like a little flair, or even maybe saw some like baby's breath
Oh,
in there.
edible flowers.
Yeah.
Those are the best. Like if you have ran out of your products and you're like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, what am I doing? I have little holes. Those are the best go-tos.
Okay.
I find these little like edible flowers from like Whole Foods
Mhm.
or Trader Joe's sometimes has them, or honestly Amazon. But
Mhm.
I will just go ahead and throw them into the little holes just to add like that much more pop to the
Mhm.
board. Fresh herbs,
Mhm.
such a great one, because it's not only adding to your board, it's adding like the aroma
Yeah.
and like
Mhm.
the flavors are kind of like breathing through those herbs.
Yeah.
But no, you absolutely have it down. Like the baby's breath,
Uh-huh.
there's not really anything like white to put on a board,
Right.
or maybe you're doing like pretzels, chocolate covered
Yeah.
pretzels. But the white just like really makes everything else look so vibrant on your
Uh-huh.
board, which is like, probably the entire goal,
Yeah.
but like just to bring things to life.
Yeah. And a different like texture.
Yes.
Like a filler almost too. Yeah.
Textures for sure.
Yeah.
That's a big part of building boards, is like
Mhm.
making sure that you're not only focusing on like your soft cheeses and
Mhm.
hard cheeses, or like your meats,
Mhm.
but you're bringing texture by those other elements.
Okay.
Yeah, you already know.
I'm feeling more prepared.
Yeah.
Do you have a hard take on like whether everything on the board should be editable, or like having all of these additional props and things like that? I mean, I know presentation is so big.
Yeah. I think it's pretty common sense that baby's breath, like you shouldn't eat baby's breath.
Oh,
You should give it
no.
a try.
But-
but ooh, that might ruin your experience.
Yeah. And I know some people do have a hard take. They're like, everything that you're serving should be. Honestly, no. I
Yeah.
think the more the merrier, kind of like what Hillary said earlier. It adds that extra oomph to your board. Oomph
Mhm.
to your board. And
The
like,
oomph.
yeah,
Okay.
oomph. Everyone's saying
Yeah,
that.
close to
Okay.
the mic.
Yes. But no, I think the more props, honestly, like the skeleton hands,
Mhm.
candlesticks, it just really enhances the experience, because not only, yes, we're feeding people and people are going to get full off of this, but like I started making cheese boards because I wanted to bring people together.
Mhm.
Like I wanted people to gather at my island
Mhm.
for my cheese,
Mhm.
and like creating memories off of this, beautiful spread. And so like the more elements, the better. For
And
sure.
that's why you're choosing like charcuterie as your like appetizer, or like grazing
Yes.
food over setting out like chips and salsa, because you want it to be
Yeah.
visually appealing, right? So
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I back your stance.
No
on
shame to
that.
chips and
Mhm.
salsa. No. But for real, yes. Agreed.
That's why you're choosing charcuterie.
Yeah.
For pretty.
So you gave us this 3-3-3-3 rule,
4 3
3 by 4.
which is fantastic. Are there like pairings that you always tend to go to?
Yeah.
What are some examples?
The most common one is like cheddar and apple. That's just going to be like your most basic. My favorite, and apart from the charcuterie board, is you kind of like want to not like dare people, but like to go out of your comfort zone and like try the pairings that you're like, that was delicious, and you won't stop thinking about it. One of my favorite pairings is like a fresh loaf of any bread, like a baguette with brie, prosciutto, and then you're going to add a jam on it.
I can see how that's delicious.
I dream about that.
Magical.
I really do dream about that. Another like kind of like one-off one is any blue cheese, which you don't often see blue cheese on a board, but if you're like looking for that more savory taste, blue cheese and like a honey drizzle, because you're getting that like I want to say stinky so bad.
It's just so potent.
Yeah,
right?
potent. Thank you. Like that potent, but then you get like the blissful
sweetness,
little
the honey,
sweet,
almost
tang.
florally.
Yeah. So those would be like my go-to ones.
Okay.
If you want to kind of get from like cheddar to apple all the way to that blue cheese and honey.
The bride loves blue cheese too. So
there you go.
You just saved me.
Yeah. Or caramel.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. That does sound crazy. Especially if you're adding apples to your board, which is like a very inexpensive.
Also like Halloween-y,
fall
right?
vibes, yeah.
Caramel apples.
apple. Yeah, it's good.
This is coming together beautifully.
And it's a conversation starter. You're like around the charcuterie board, like, oh my gosh, did you try that blue cheese with that caramel? Like that sounds so, it sounds a little off, but like it's a conversation starter and it allows people to conversate and just be together around a beautiful spread.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you were just doing it right now, like this idea of making sure that your pairings are really in tune with your theme. And like, are there like best practices for you in helping to kind of do that? Is it just like instinct?
No, when I'm looking at my spread and like knowing how many boards I'm working with, I'm making sure things are like never in even numbers, always in odds. So I'm doing like a cluster. And then I'm going back with my apricots, cluster. None of the same colors together, because we want vibrant colors. We don't want things to be blending in together. I would just like the cluster method and just making sure you know what you're working with, because majority of the time you will probably just be doing one board. If you have one board, even better. You're doing cluster. Go with the next ingredient, cluster. And that's what helps me make my boards. Boards.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So when you're talking about like the clustering of like laying it out, what like are there visual like tent poles that you're trying to accomplish when you're doing that? Like what is the process if you were just trying to like help someone who didn't know at all? Like what would you be telling them to be like setting up their board in the right space?
Oh, I would start with maybe like a centerpiece in your board. Like a lot of people go for like the circle brie. Cut that up, put it in the middle of your board and work around that. Because working from the outside in is a little confusing and just like you run out of space and you're like, oh my gosh.
Now what?
Yeah. So if you can work from the inside out of your board, you will find more holes to fill with your ingredients. I would tell someone that has never made a board before, start with one type of ingredient first. So start with your cheeses first. Make sure your cheese takes up the most part of your board. Because that's what it's the filling. That's what people are coming for. Then let's move to your meats. That's not the way I work, but just to like make sure, even that 3-3-3 method.
Sure.
Make sure you're just like, your brain won't go all over the place. You'll take care of one ingredient and you'll move on to the next. And like I said, work your way from the inside to the outside of your board.
And I imagine like almost like rule of thirds with your 3-3-3, like kind of mentally divide it into 3 sections of some way and kind of like organize.
It's like you did
that
your
way.
research.
Yeah.
Well, Mara, I know the biggest thing that you enjoy is like that amped up, like getting your presentation on point. You've already kind of like previewed that a little bit here. I wonder if you have like best suggestions for ways to really amp up your game versus just like, okay, I've got my meat and cheeses, which is great. Like I'd want all of that and I will eat it and I'll be 100% happy. But like if you want the like cheese letters and the meat shaped bows
Oh,
and like
yeah.
the gold flakes and those kind of things, like what
Yeah.
kind of advice would you be giving folks?
Customize. I think we talked about it, but like my cheese litters, I get so many requests for just like spelling out "Happy Birthday, Sarah." Like that's so like minor,
Yeah.
but it just adds that extra little like I'm
Yeah.
thinking of you, and like
letters of cheese. Like what's not
Yeah.
to like, like
I
your
mean,
name
it's
spelled
like
out in
dinosaur
cheese.
chicken nuggets.
Yes.
Like they're so much better because they're cute.
Valid
Yes.
point.
Yes.
Valid point.
And even though it's that simple, do it. Like do it for your guests. I mean, like I said, like this is an art form of food, like made out of love. And the more you can customize it, like my mom loves the ocean. And so like for her birthday, I tried to do my best. I've never done this before, but she like wanted like a scenery of an ocean charcuterie. I'm like, Mom.
Wow.
And so like yes, it might have not been my best charcuterie, but like the
She
thought
loved
of it.
it.
And
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
like, dang, you put little fishies on here? Like, that is so nice.
have
And
little
so,
fishies?
yeah. And so it's just like those little things that really make like your cheese board customized
Yeah.
to whoever, or maybe it's for yourself. Like I
Mhm.
love gold. I'm adding a little bit of gold sparkle on my cheese if I'm like making my
Classes
lunch.
it up
Mhm.
immediately. Sure.
Yeah.
For lunch.
For
Wow,
lunch.
fancy.
Yeah.
Some gold in your lunch.
Romanticize everything.
Like I
Yeah.
would make a board for anyone that asked. Why wouldn't I do that for myself? I'm like,
Yeah.
make myself a board.
Yeah.
Make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Add those edible flowers. Use your inventory.
You should.
It's fine.
I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. Okay, so this is gonna be basic. How do you cut the cheese letters? Like, what are you doing?
You get like cutters. I just ordered mine. And you just get sliced cheese.
Okay,
just-
it's
it
sliced.
could be
It's just like
crusty.
this.
Actually,
like,
absolutely
how
not.
inch thick? Like, what are we talking about?
Just like a sandwich.
A
Like a
sandwich.
like a
Like the
craft
Okay,
slice, but
sardine
not a
small-
craft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a regular thin slice.
Yes. And
Okay.
my go-to is Havarti because that is I will just put it out and I will just do my letters.
Okay.
Make sure
So it's like
you're
little
cleaning
bitty
those
cookie
letters.
cutters
Yes.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like $5.
Yeah.
Go to the dollar
It's simple. It
store.
looks great.
Yes.
Love
It's
it.
so fun.
Love it.
So you have the
So
whole
fun.
alphabet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Numbers,
yes.
probably.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
people request for birthdays 50.
Yeah,
I did a
right.
bunch of 50s on them. Like,
Oh yeah, cute. Okay.
and most people are like, charge extra. And I'm like, no, you're hiring me for just to do a board for a 50th birthday. I'm
Yeah.
going to add that extra side of customization.
Uh-huh. That's
Mara,
special.
this has been fantastic. I have one
I
final
wanna keep
question for
talking.
you.
Seriously.
All right, well, we can.
I'm kidding.
Absolutely.
I'm
we can
kidding.
keep
I'm
going
kidding.
for at least
2
a few
minutes.
minutes.
I'm
I have last question for you though. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only have 3 charcuterie ingredients,
Ingredients?
what charcuterie ingredients would they be?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Mhm.
also isn't
You only
it a
get 3.
deserted island?
No, yeah, I mean, this-
What's a desert island? Anyways, go back.
It's dessert.
it's a desert
It's an
island.
island full of
A
dessert.
dessert island. Okay, well, obviously I'll take it because that means chocolate's on the island, and that's one less I have
Thank
to include in
you.
my list. Okay, I'm gonna go with. This is so hard, Tyler, and not fair, really. I'm gonna go with.
You can do this.
I don't think I can.
We believe in you,
I'm gonna do brie.
Mhm.
It has to be brie.
Brie.
I just love the creaminess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dried apricots. No, everyone's like, how sophisticated is your audience that you're serving to? Is there dried apricots on the board still? And I'm like, no, because I ate them all.
Fair.
Yeah, dried apricots. And I'm going to go with a starch.
Yeah.
Because that's color. I got my orange in there. I got my white in there. Actually, no, I'm going to do a protein.
Okay. Yeah. What
I'm
kind?
going to do. Ooh. peppered salami.
I love it.
Not salami. Yes, peppered salami.
Yeah.
Salami? No,
Yeah.
did you want to go a different? I mean, this is your desert island, apparently.
This is so hard. Like out of all of these questions, I'm like, why can't I think? I'm just gonna do any sort of peppered meat.
Peppered.
Okay.
Okay.
to
Make it
add the,
broad.
Yeah.
yes, we'll do that.
Yeah, I think that blends really well though.
Yeah.
These are solid choices.
Thank you.
In an impossible scenario that I set you up with.
Seriously.
I can't wait.
So, well, you can't wait at being a
Yeah, a dessert
Desert
island. Who could?
Well, Mara, you were brilliant.
Oh,
Thanks for being here. I also want to thank my co-hosts Becca and Hillary and our co-producers Scott and Ann. And finally, I want to thank you listeners. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, review, do all of the things wherever you listen. Then hop over to nfm.com/podcast where you can ask us questions, see all of the podcast things that we're doing, and view episodes as well, which you can see on YouTube. I think that's going to do it for now. But always remember, home is what you make it.